Hello everyone, welcome to the Archipelago live stream. I'm Liam, one of the preset developers here at Archipelago, makers of Lightroom presets and creative profiles. So in this stream, I'll be live editing with the Light and Truth preset collection. That's part of our brand new lineup of presets over at archipelagopresets.com. This one's a true color preset, so it's designed to naturally enhance your images, keep all those hues and colors natural and as they were in the scene, but just enhance things. We've got 5 color presets, a black and white preset, obviously got creative profiles in there, along with a dedicated tool set as well. So I'll be going through all of that in the stream today, just showcasing how to get the most out of the set, giving you an idea of what you get included with these presets. Of course, I'll be answering any questions you have as well. So do jump in the chat and say hello. Let me know if you have any questions as we go through the stream. I know the chat's been popping off even before I started the stream, which is excellent. Nice to have quite a few people on there. I did see that China was on nice and early. I saw a really nice comment from Charlotte saying, hey everyone, loving this preset. Have done 4 full weddings with it already, which is absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for that feedback. It's really nice to hear that. Obviously worked really hard on these presets and it's nice to finally have them out there, have them in people's hands and get that kind of feedback of people using it for their work. So yeah, do jump in the chat and say hello if you tuned in live. There's quite a few on this already, which is really, really nice to see. I'll show you the images that I'll be editing with in just a moment. Now we'll be doing a giveaway in this live stream as we always do. So if you are one of the people that are tuned in live, you're in with a chance of winning a t-shirt, one of these brand new Archipelago t-shirts featuring our new logo. There's only a handful of these in the world so far. So yeah, you're in with a chance of getting your hands on one of these t-shirts. All you need to do is just be in that chat. So if you make sure you subscribe to the channel, after a minute or so, you can get in the chat and start putting your comments in there, letting me know what you think to the presets and the photos and all that kind of good stuff, asking questions if you have them. Just keep interacting as we go through the stream. Also, if you could give this video a like as well, that just helps us out, push the content out to more people. And then at the end of the stream, we'll be picking someone from that chat box to win a free t-shirt. So keep chatting away. We'll obviously pick from those names in that list in the chat to win a free t-shirt as a thank you for tuning in to the live stream. Tal said, really torn between light and legacy or light and truth. Show us the good stuff. Yeah, we will do. So I did a stream before which just kind of highlighted an introduction, like a little bit of a sneak peek of these presets as they launched. But this is a little bit more of a deep dive. This one specifically on the True Color preset collection, Light and Truth. I'll be doing the other presets in the lineup, those other 3 preset collections over the course of the next several weeks, with Light and Ochre being next week. So just make sure you are subscribed to the channel, have your notifications on, and make sure you keep coming back to see the next stream so you get a deep dive on all 4 of our brand new core preset collections. Would love a t-shirt, dude. Good stuff. Well, you're in with a chance, my man. You are here, tune in live, which is great. China said, OMG, need. Love that. I'll be grinding for that t-shirt for as long as it takes. Awesome stuff. Okay, so let me switch over to the editing screen. So these are the 8 images I have to edit with today. And as we get into the actual editing, you're going to see each of the photographers' names and their Instagram handles, along with the EXIF data at the top left. So if I just go to the first image, you can see up here, this one by Foggy Stories, at foggy.stories on Instagram. So do take the time to go and check out their work if you like their imagery. Go and give them kind of some love, because it's always really appreciated that we get such amazing images from the photographers in the community that we get to use for these live streams. So do go and give them some love if you enjoy the images. 7, oh my gosh, yes, it is a beautiful image. So yeah, I've got these 8 images. I've kind of gone for a little bit of a variety, so slightly different lighting conditions. We've got some indoor as well. Just kind of different options just to showcase what this set is capable of doing. So as I mentioned before, this is a true color preset collection. So it's designed to maintain true colors throughout the work. And like I said, there's 5 color presets, 1 black and white. Each of those 5 color presets is designed to give a little bit of a different dynamic to the image. So while they're all true color, they each have a slightly different dynamic, going from sort of natural to having something more contrasty, something bright and contrasty. We have a filmic kind of look and a more moody look. So there's options within there, depending on the type of scene that you're shooting in, the type of look that you want to go for. There's lots of different choices within that, still maintaining that nice true color look. And then of course we have a beautiful black and white in there as well. And then along with that, we have a dedicated tool set, the Light and Truth tool sets. Each of our core sets come with their own tool set. And this one has some really fantastic tools in here as well. So I'll kind of work through all of that as we go through the stream. So I'll get underway in just a moment. I'll just have a quick look at the chat again. 7 is just so beautiful already. Can't wait to see what you do with it. Lucilla said hello from Spain. Can't wait to see the editing. Amazing pictures. Thank you so much. Zach said, hoping this might be a good addition to my style. Mamad, I've been waiting for a natural set. Very excited for this. All right, so let's get underway. So this first image here, like I said, is from Foggy Stories. You can see this was shot, it's a Nikon file. You can see it was shot on a 35mm lens. So if you want to kind of see any of that information, you can see that up at the top here. So let's start off by setting the exposure and white balance. This is what you should always do first, rather than applying the preset and then tweaking it. And that's just going to give you a really good base to start from. It makes your life much, much easier when it comes to getting accurate things, accurate skin tones, accurate colors, all that kind of stuff. Set your exposure, set your white balance, and then apply the presets. Of course, once you've done that, you can go back and tweak that to your tastes. If you want to warm things up or cool it down, all that kind of stuff, you can do that after, but it's always good to try and get a nice base to begin with. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the exposure. And I'm going to set the white balance based off the grey in the front of this vehicle here, because that's going to get me pretty close to natural. So that's looking good. So somewhere around about there, I am going to apply a lens correction. Now, one of the tools in the Light and Truth toolset is lens correction. And this is just for cameras where the lens correction isn't applied automatically within the file. So this one is one of those scenarios. So by having the lens correction here, I can very quickly clean up the vignette and the distortion. So that's what that tool is for there. So now I've got a really good base. Obviously, we've kind of corrected things. We can take a look at the actual presets. Let's just run through the set. We'll take a look at all of the 6 presets within this. So starting off with Light and Truth 1. So you can see straight away, it's really, really natural. Keeps all the color tones as they are in the base image, but just kind of gives a really nice polished look, a good amount of contrast, just a little pop of saturation. It's quite complex to create a color accurate preset. It seems like it would be something really, really simple, but it's actually quite complex to create something that keeps all the colors nice and accurate, but gives a nice polished look. And I think with this, with Light and Truth 1 especially, it's a very, very sort of natural, polished edit, but it's nice and true. Keeps all those colors nice and accurate. So you can especially see, obviously, like the blues and the greens, obviously the browns and oranges in the jacket and the building, all nice and natural. So that's Light and Truth 1. So then let's take a look at Light and Truth 2. So this one's more contrasty, so you can see the blacks are quite a bit deeper on this one. It's quite a good one if you want a bit more of a punchy look to your image, or if you have an image where it is a little bit softer, it has a lower contrast to it. So again, this is Light and Truth 1 and Light and Truth 2. So a bit punchier, colors are a little bit more saturated and a little bit punchy with that contrast. Oh wow, I love the natural look lately. Seems to be more and more popular these days. So good already, so natural and true color. Thank you so much. All right, so let's take a look at the next one, Light and Truth 3. This is actually my favorite in the set. So Light and Truth 3 is contrasty but bright. So it kind of offers something, kind of a little bit of a mix of Light and Truth 1 and Light and Truth 2. So again, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So it kind of lifts up those midtones, so you get a little bit of a lighter, brighter feel to it. It maintains those nice crisp whites, but you also get a little bit more contrast, so the kind of separation between the dark areas and the light areas is a little bit greater. This is my personal favorite in the set. Light and Truth 4, so this one has more of a filmic feel to it. So again, it still keeps all those colors nice and natural, but you can see things are just a little bit more muted, and the actual tonality of the image gets that nice filmic look. So it kind of crushes the shadows just a little bit, crushes the highlights, and just kind of gives a little bit more of a soft look. So this is unedited, and this is with Light and Truth 4. And then Light and Truth 5 is sort of a more moody look. So if you compare that to Light and Truth 4, it doesn't have those filmic kind of crushing to the shadows and the highlights, but it has a sort of softer look to it. It's kind of contrasty, sort of saturated, but the highlights are kind of brought down quite a bit. So it's got quite a gentle feel to it. It has that little bit of a moody look, but still keeps a good amount of saturation, but just not overly powerful. So again, just running through all the color ones. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then last off, we have Light and Truth 6, which is the black and white. It's designed to be a nice, neutral, clean black and white. So with one click, you get this beautiful monochrome image. Again, with all these presets, there is no grain applied, so it is very clean. That's kind of the aim of the set, is to keep things very clean, very natural, and not so stylized. So with Light and Truth 6, you get that really nice, clean black and white, a good kind of compromise between contrast and dynamic range, and a very neutral look to it. So let's go ahead and edit this one with Light and Truth 1. So again, before and after. Now we have the Light and Truth creative profile. So for the color presets, it's set to 100 as default. And what the Light and Truth profile does is it essentially adjusts the midtones and also adds some warmth to the image as well. So if I bring it to the left, you can see it just reduces the midtones and just takes some of that warmth out there. Take it to the right and we lift up those midtones and we get a little bit more warmth. And it also almost just adds like a glow to the image. So it's just kind of a warm glow by lifting those midtones and adding that extra little bit of warmth into the image. So I think for this, it looks really nice. I'm gonna probably put that up fairly high, about there, 150. So then let's take a look at the tool set. So as I said, all of our core preset collections come with a dedicated tool set. And with this one, again, we'll kind of run from the top to the bottom. The first tool we have here is called Picture Perfect, and this is designed to enhance multiple elements of your image in one click. So I'm going to go ahead and apply Picture Perfect first, and then I'll kind of show you what it's doing. So we'll give that a second to render. It's using AI, so it's essentially pulling out lots of different elements of the image and applying a different effect to each of those elements. So what I'll do first of all, let me show you in the masking panel what it's doing. So it's adding all of these layers in just one click. So if you start from the bottom, we have Perfect Skin. So that's designed to do a very subtle amount of skin smoothing on your subject. So it'll find the people and it'll apply skin smoothing, and it's specifically to their face. So it doesn't affect the rest of the body, it's just the face, and it is a very, very subtle amount of skin smoothing. Then we have Perfect Eyes. Obviously in this scene, we don't have any eyes visible because they both have their eyes closed. But if they were, it essentially just adds a little bit more contrast and slightly brightens eyes and a little bit more clarity there as well. So just gives a little bit more focus to the eyes. And then we have Perfect Hair. That adds a little bit of contrast and saturation to the hair of your subjects. Perfect Background Darken, so that darkens the background of the frame rather than the subjects, and it affects just the bottom edge of the frame, so it's kind of a graduated filter, doesn't affect the sky, and it's just a way to draw the eye up into the frame towards your subjects. And then we have Perfect Background Soften, and that is almost the opposite. It's from the top of the frame graduated down, and this just softens up the background of your image, so it can create a little bit more of an effect of depth of field and just kind of softening up the details in the background, again, to draw focus to your subjects. And then we have Perfect Sky. Now, obviously in this particular scene, there's not a lot going on in the sky, but with Perfect Sky, it will bring back details in the sky and enhance colors that are naturally there. So all that's happening with one click. And then we have the preset amount slider up at the top left of the preset panel here, and you can dial that in. So if I go ahead and bring this to the left and then all the way to the right, you can kind of see what's happening across the image. So you can certainly see some of the darkening happening at the bottom of the frame. You can see how the background is softening up. And then if we go ahead and zoom in on the subjects here, this is it down at 0, this is it up at 200. So you can see just the kind of slight softening to the skin, a little bit more saturation coming into the hair, and then of course that background softening and darkening there as well. So I really like this cranked up to 200. Again, I'll just show you, this is down at 0, this is up at 200. I think it looks really, really nice up at 200. Now, of course, once you've applied it, you can go into each of these masking layers and dial it in yourself specifically. So if you wanted to have all of this effect, but you didn't want to darken the bottom of the frame, for instance, you could come in here and just bring that amount down or increase it. So you can kind of go into each of the layers and do it manually, but the idea behind the tool is just to have a one-click solution that's going to enhance multiple elements in that one click, and then with the amount slider you can dial that to where you like. So super simple but really, really nice results. So this is before and after. Again, that's Light and Truth 1, creative profile increased to 150, and we've used Picture Perfect on this one. Next up, we have backlight fix. So this one is designed to help in scenarios where you have a backlit subject. So it brings the exposure of the background down, it brings the exposure of your subjects up, it also dials the blacks on the subject, things like that, just to kind of bring more detail to your subject and balance out the exposure difference between the subject and the background. Now, we don't really have a backlit scene in this case, but just to kind of show you what it does, I'm going to go ahead and apply it. So this is it down at 0, this is it up at 200, obviously way too much on this image, but you can see how it just brings focus to the subjects, darkens down that background, lifts up the subjects, adds more clarity and contrast to those subjects as well. So I probably would use a little bit of it on this, maybe about 26, just to kind of draw a little bit more attention to those subjects. So it is quite versatile. You can use it, and you'll see on some of the other images, you can use it in scenarios where it isn't necessarily backlit. Just use a little bit of it to draw attention and focus to your subjects. But when you have a backlit scene, it really, really does kind of enhance that a lot. Okay, so let me just have a quick look at the chat, just make sure I'm not missing out on anything. Gosh, this is just insane. Thank you, Catherine. Oh my gosh, so much done in one click. Obsessed. I bought this set and re-edited 2 weddings while I've been in hospital. Such a beautiful set for weddings and engagements. Thank you so much, Erin. What's the difference between this set and Alethea? So that's a good question. Alethea is one of our old preset collections. It's now been retired, and that was a color accurate preset collection, also developed by me. And there is a little bit of a difference between them. So they're obviously both color accurate. So Alethea had a base preset, one single base preset, and then it had multiple different profiles. So the base preset in Alethea was also color accurate. So they're not going to differ massively because they're designed to be color accurate. So you're not going to see a wildly different edit when you kind of apply it to an image, because you're keeping all those natural colors and enhancing it. But I would say a couple of things really. So one is Light and Truth builds on what Alethea had in that base preset, and I think it's a more accurate representation. I think it kind of dials the contrast in a little bit more of a kind of specific way. I think that if you put them side by side, you will see differences between them, and I think this is the best color accurate preset that we've created to date. So that's the one difference. With Alethea, like I said, it only had that one base preset for color accurate, and then the creative profiles were designed to steer your edit into a more stylistic look, whereas this is really focused on color accuracy. And by having those 5 different color presets that each have a different tonal dynamic, it gives you more variety to deal with different scenes or to have different sort of styles. So keeping everything color accurate, but having a different stylistic look within the dynamic of the image. Now you can actually mix and match them. So if you have Alethea and you think, well, actually, I quite like a couple of things about this that I've seen, I think I might get it as well. There's no harm in having both. You can use the creative profiles from Alethea with the Light and Truth presets. They work really nice together. And of course, the tools play really well together as well. So many people have bought both of them. But if you're wondering if it's going to be wildly different, no, not necessarily, because it is color accurate. So it's going to have a very similar sort of approach to the base preset, but I think this one offers maybe a lot more with those 5 color variations and with the tools that are included with this as well. But good question, thank you. Tool set is nice and helpful. This is going to save so much time for those shoots where you have to be true color. Yeah, absolutely. And we do come across those as photographers. You know, if you're doing like a product photography, or if the client specifically asks for those natural true color edits, it's great to have a tool set and a preset collection that's going to help to deliver that. All right, so let's take a look at the rest of the tools in this. So the other tools that we have in the tool set here, we have blue tone and green tone. So the reason I picked these 2 out specifically is I feel like they're the ones that we tend to play around with a lot more as photographers, or maybe struggle with a little bit more than other color tones. So the blues and the greens are what we often find are the most difficult to dial. So with these different tone options, the idea is you've got a one-click solution to be able to get something closer to what you want. So it keeps everything else natural. It only affects either the blue tone or the green tone, and it just gives you the ability to steer those tones to where you want whilst maintaining everything else in a natural state. So we've got a nice blue van here behind the couple. So let's take a look at the blue tones. So I hover over blue tone 1, so this is without. This is with, so you can see it just brings the saturation down a little bit. It does adjust the hue very slightly, it stays quite natural, but it's just a little bit more dialed back and muted. Then we have Blue Tone 2, so this one's more of a teal color. It's still quite saturated, but it's lifted up in luminance, so it's a little bit brighter, a little bit more of that kind of stylistic looks. This is without and this is with. Blue Tone 3, again without and with. Again, this one's kind of leaning more towards the cooler side rather than the sort of green side, but it has a little bit of a darker look to it. And then Blue Tone 4, very, very teal and a little bit darker than the natural look there as well. And of course, all of these can be dialed. So if I say, let's go for Blue Tone 2 on this, if I bring it all the way back down to 0, that's natural. That's exactly as it looked with the base preset. So it's nice and natural. All the way up, obviously, is adjusted quite a lot. So you can just set this exactly where you want. So it might be that you want to do just a little bit of a tweak. It might be that you want something quite different. So you can set this precisely where you want. This is using the masking panel, so it only affects the blue tones that appear in the image via the masking panel. So you can see here, Blue Tone 2. It's just going to select those colors in the point color area, and that's all it's going to affect in the image. So then we have the same again. Actually, just quickly, we've got a blue tone reset. So that's just a very quick way of getting back to the natural blue tone or green tone in your image. So that's just a quick reset option. But of course, you can go into the masking panel and dial it later if you wish. So the same again with green tone. So we have green tone 1. This one is lower luminance, so it's a bit darker in terms of green, and it's pushed more towards the cool side. Not so easy to see on this because the greens aren't super prominent, but you can see in the scarf probably here. So that's green tone 1. Green tone 2 is dark and warm tone, so it pushes more towards the orange. Then we have green tone 3, which is more teal toned, so slightly cooler, and the luminance is increased. And then green tone 4, which is warmer with the luminance increased and the saturation brought down, so more of like a mossy tone. So again, you've got the option to set the greens exactly how you like. So let's just say we went for green tone 1, all the way down, all the way up. So you can see how it's affecting the greens in the trees and in the scarf there. And you'll see that more in an image where we have more greenery in the background. But again, just nice to have that option to be able to dial in the greens and the blues exactly as you like. All right, so this is before and this is after. I'll show you the side by side there. Again, beautiful image from Foggy Stories. That one's edited with Light and Truth 1. Creative Profile Increase, we use Picture Perfect, a little bit of Backlight Fix. We use Lens Correction, Blue Tone 2 and Green Tone 1. I'm between this and one other, can't make my mind up. That's from Nicola. Tough decision, Nicola. We do offer test edits in our Facebook group. Archipelago Collective is the name of our Facebook group. You can share a link to 3 or more raw files and ask for a test edit, and then one of the team here or one of the members of the group will do a test edit with whichever presets it is that you're looking at. So that can be quite handy to see the edits on your images if you're not sure. I have a wedding this weekend, so excited to have this set out. Dropping the link to Light and Truth here. So there you go. That's the link to the set if you want to go and check that out on archipelagopresets.com. How processor heavy are these presets with all the masking panels in Lightroom Classic? Thank you. So not really very heavy at all. So there's no sort of like custom drawn elements that we've had in some of our effects before that can be very processor heavy. Obviously the AI aspect means that when you apply something like Picture Perfect, it will take maybe a couple of seconds for it to figure out where those elements are in your image. But it's really not a massive amount of time, especially considering the amount of effects it's applying at the same time. And you have to remember that with this set, the base presets do not include any masking layers at all. So it's only when you apply a tool. So it's only if you choose to apply a tool, it's going to take half second, a second, something like that to apply it. And that's something like Picture Perfect, something like Backlight Fix, which is just a couple of layers, will apply immediately. It's only really something like Picture Perfect that might take a second or two, but it's really not a long amount of time, especially considering all the things that it's doing with the image. All right, let's roll on to the next photo. This one here from Yeva, super beautiful image. So I'm going to go ahead and set the exposure. White balance is looking pretty much spot on, I would say, for this. So I would say somewhere around about there. For this, I'm going to use light and truth 2. So remember, this is the more contrasty preset. So you can see how it just pushes those highlights and keeps the nice deep dark shadows. So you get a little bit more of a kind of contrasty look. Again, creative profile set to 100 as default. If I bring that to the left, softens things up by just dropping those midtones, and also gets rid of the warmth that's been injected by the profile. Drag it to the right, and obviously you lift up those midtones and add in more warmth. I think the default amount probably of 100 looks good on this. I'll probably leave that where it is. So let's go ahead and use Picture Perfect on this one. So as you can see, this is going to take a little while, but the presets will apply immediately. But again, once it's applied like this, you can see the effect. So down at 0, up at 200. So you can see here how the sky is being adjusted. That's with the perfect sky mask. The skin is getting that nice amount of softening. It just kind of blends the tones together. So if I go ahead and zoom in nice and close here, this is with it down at 0 and up at 200. So it's just a nice subtle amount of skin softening. We've got another image where their eyes are closed, so you can't see the effect on the eyes, but I promise you they don't all have their eyes closed in these images. But you can see, again, the softening in the background and the darkening at the lower of the frame there. So I like that cranked up at 200. Backlight fix, let's take a quick look, see if we want to use that. Probably not on this image. I think the balance is looking good, but if I apply it anyway, just bring it down to 0. I'll sometimes do this, just bring it down to 0, slightly increase it and see if I like the effect. Maybe a little bit about there, 16 or so, just a tiny little bit of lifting up the subjects and darkening down the background. So this is before, this is after. That's light and truth 2. And we've got the creative profile set to 100. We've used Picture Perfect and a tiny bit of backlight fix. Let's go ahead and do a blue tone on this one. So blue tone 1, blue tone 2, blue tone 3, and 4. I'm going to go for blue tone 1 probably on this. So this is down at 0, up at 200. So it's just kind of backing off the saturation in the blues and just keeping it on that kind of cooler, more sort of like navy blue side. So I think that looks quite good up there at 168. Not much in the way of green. There's just a little bit down here, but I can just show you very quickly. Green tone 1, 2, 3, and 4. So not super obvious, but let's just go for green tone 3 just so you can kind of see down at 0, up at 200. So just a little bit of a shift down there. So this is before and after, and there's your side by side. Wonderful, wonderful image from Yeva. Tal said, I really like the fact that the AI masks are in the tools and not part of the main presets, those of us with slow machines. Yeah, certainly. It does mean that you can kind of get the image to the point where you're happy with it in terms of the base edit, and then you can go ahead and apply the tools to kind of finish things off. And obviously then it's only really at that stage that you're going to feel the impact. But like I said, it is so small. It's literally, if you think about the alternative, the way that we used to do this process, we would have to go into the masking layer, create a single mask. We would have to brush in the effect to the area of the image that we want manually. And that is super time consuming, and you need to do that over and over again for each of the different layers for the different kind of effects that have been applied. So you kind of think about that time frame versus giving it a click and sitting and sipping your drink for a second or two. It's really quite amazing what's actually happening in the background. So whilst sometimes you can think, oh, come on, hurry up. Obviously the time saving versus how we used to have to do it is obviously massive. China said, yes, and I worked hours to perfect it. Now it's just a click. Absolutely. All right, so let's go on to the next image. This one is from Jenna. I'm going to bring the exposure up a good amount on this. Looks like we need a lens correction, so let's go ahead and apply that. I like to keep things nice and clean. White balance is looking pretty good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and apply light and truth 3 to this one. So this is the bright and contrasty preset in the collection. As I mentioned before, this is my favorite. Really, really like the way it kind of renders things. If I bring the light and truth profile down to the left and then up to the right, so again, just injecting that extra warmth, bringing up those midtones as well. And I really like that probably cranked all the way up. I might just bring the exposure down a tiny little bit just to make sure that the skin tones are staying nice. So before and after, that's with Light and Truth 3. I really, really like how crisp the whites are in this particular preset. Kind of gives a very, very kind of clean and bright look to the image. So let's go for Picture Perfect. I find I use this on just about every single image because the masking layers obviously are intelligent. It figures out if there are people in the scene, so you don't need to worry about the fact that it has masking layers for things like skin adjustments. If you're going to apply it onto an image that doesn't have a person in the scene, it still works fantastically well because it will just ignore those particular mask layers. So if I go in here, obviously, as you can see, this is the third image in a row where the subjects have their eyes closed. So you can see there's a little exclamation mark there on perfect eyes, and that's just because it can't find eyes in the scene, so it just leaves that sort of not applied, and it will just do the same. If you can't see a person in the scene, it will just leave these ones not applied to the image, but it will still apply the subject and background tools and sky tools as well. So let's bring this to the left. So this is down at 0, this is up at 200, so you can see again how it's just affecting the entire scene. I'm probably going to go fairly high, maybe about here, 158, and then bring the exposure down just a tiny little bit. And then backlight fix, again, might not necessarily need it on this, but let's just apply it, bring it down to 0, slowly increase it. I think a little bit of it on this, maybe about 35 is looking good to me. So again, with this, it's quite nice because you can increase it quite high and bring the overall exposure down, so you can kind of find a balance between the two. I quite like it here. I don't mind the fact that the sky is blown out because it's not important. I think all the focus is on the subjects. They're taking up most of the scene here. So I like this kind of bright and airy look to it. So this is before, this is after. There's your side by side. China said insanity. Love that. Christina said beautiful. Sean said so worth it. Richard said crank that profile. Absolutely. Love to crank that profile. Jana said gorgeous. All right, so let's move on to the next image. This one, let me make sure I'm on the right screen. Here we go. This is the one. Image number 4, this one from Camille. I'm going to edit this one with Light and Truth 4. I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit first of all. It looks like it has got, a little bit of vignette from the lens. So I'm going to apply lens corrections. I think I'm going to go somewhere around about there. So Light and Truth 4, again, is the filmic dynamic. So stays true color, but has that nice filmic look to it. So that's one click with Light and Truth 4. Creative profile, bring it to the left, bring it to the right. I'm probably going to leave it at the default. I think that looks really nice as it is. I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit more. And let's go for Picture Perfect on this one. And that's it at 100. So let's bring it to the left and then up to the right. So you can see how that's just affecting all those different elements in the scene. I'm going to crank it up to 200, but I'm going to go into here and I'm going to go to Perfect Background Darken. And I'm just going to play with that. Don't want the bottom of the frame to be quite so dark. So I'm just going to bring that down to about there, 72. But everything else I really like. You can see here, obviously, it's recognized that there isn't a sky in this scene. So it's just left that not applied. So backlight fix, again, we haven't got a backlit scene here, but let's have a quick look. I actually think it looks really nice, probably quite high, just because of the way it's kind of bringing a little bit more definition to the subject, darkening down that background. So this is at a 0, up at 200. I'm probably going to go fairly high on this. So although we don't have a backlit scene, in this instance, it's one of those where it's just adding a little bit more shape and dynamic to the subject and kind of just drawing your eye more to that subject. So that's it up at 135. Again, not much in the way of blue or green tone. We've got a little bit of plant or grass down at the bottom here, so we can have a little look at the green tones. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I would be tempted to go for green tone 4 on this one. So just illuminated and pushed more towards the sort of orange side. So a bit warmer. So before and after. There's your side by side. That's with Light and Truth 4, creative profile left at 100. Picture Perfect cranked all the way up. Backlight fix set to about 135 and green tone 4. Go ahead and zoom in. Let's go to 100 so you can see the details on the subject's face there. What a beautiful image, and wow for the one click. Amazing, amazing. This photo is so amazing. Totally in love with this picture. Amazing with the editing. Love this one. I'm such a sucker for film vibes. This picture is stunning. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, just a reminder, photographer's name and Instagram handle up at the top left there if you want to go and check out more of their work. Subtle but beautifully enhanced. Thank you so much. All right, so next image. This one is from Madeline. We've got an indoor image here. I'm going to go ahead and bring the exposure up. Let's have a quick look and see if we need to do a lens correction. No, that's already applied, so that's okay. I'm going to go probably around about there. And I think the white balance is looking pretty good. I might just warm it up a tiny touch. Yeah, somewhere around about there looks natural to me. So let's go for Light and Truth 5 on this one. That's the moodier preset. Has a really nice kind of balance between the highlights and shadows. Not too saturated, but keeps a little bit of that kind of richness to the color tones in the image. So again, this is before and after. That's with Light and Truth 5. Creative Profile is at 100. Bring it to the left and to the right. And I like the extra bit of warmth we're getting and just that kind of lift in the midtones. So I'm going to probably increase it quite high, about 176. And then let's go for the tools. So Picture Perfect. So this is it down at 0, up at 200. So I'm probably going to go about there, 128. Again, if I zoom in, if I bring this to the left and to the right, you can see how it's just enhancing the subjects there. But yeah, I think about 130 or so. Backlight fix, again, we don't really have a backlit scene here, but let's have a quick look. Yeah, maybe a little bit of it. Again, it's just adding some more shape to the image. I like the way it's kind of rendering the subjects and just kind of darkening down the background. It's about there, 40. I do find that images that aren't backlit, you can use just a little bit of it, maybe somewhere between 20 and 40, just to kind of add some more shape to the image. So there's your before, there's your after, and there is the side by side. Again, let's zoom in on the subjects just so you can kind of see the details there. But everything stays really nice and natural. It obviously keeps that nice, clean look to the whites in the image. That can often be quite important when going for that natural true color look. Skin tones stay really nice and natural there as well. This is perfect, such great images, absolutely stunning. The contrast of this image is perfect. Love the before and after. Thank you so much. All right, so that's the 5 color presets. Let's go ahead and take a look at those side by side. So we've got Light and Truth 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's move on to image number 6. This one is by Rainy. Got a really, really nice, it looks like a Scottish scene, kind of Highlandy vibes. Going to bring the exposure up on this one. Let's go ahead and apply a lens correction. I'm going to bring the temperature up just a bit here as well. I think somewhere around about there looks good to me. So for this one, we're going to do a black and white edit using Light and Truth 6. So I'll go ahead and give that a click. So you can see it's just a really, really nicely balanced black and white, very, very clean. You can kind of see that you get all the different gray tones through the image. It's a very neutral color tone in terms of the black and white as well. There's no warmth to it. It's just very natural and neutral. You got Light and Truth, black and white, creative profile. So this just adjusts the midtones in the image. It doesn't add any warmth or anything. So if you bring that to the left and to the right, you can see how it's just affecting the midtones. Again, quite subtle, but just gives you a little bit more control over the image. And actually, I really like, if I bring it to the left, if I zoom in on the subjects just a little bit more here, I really like how it's bringing out the skin tones and just that kind of level of detail in the midtones. So I'm going to probably crank that up to 200. So again, it's just a nice option to have just to kind of dial the image in a little bit further. So before and after with Light and Truth 6. We'll go ahead and use Picture Perfect on this. These obviously do work with black and white images as well as color, and you can use these tools with any other preset collection you want as well. So it's worth noting that. Obviously they're designed to work specifically with Light and Truth, but they will work with all other preset collections as well. So this is picture perfect if I bring it to the left and to the right, and I think it does a really nice job on this image. It just kind of brings out everything that you want to see. So you can see how it's just bringing a little bit more detail into the sky. There's obviously not a lot going on. We have a few clouds over here, but it just kind of brings the exposure level down a little bit in the sky, darkens down that foreground, softens everything up in the background. You can kind of see that if we look over here, if I bring it to the left, you can kind of see the details in the background here with it off versus up at 200, how it's just softening all of that up whilst not affecting the subjects. So just gives a really, really nice kind of focus to your subjects. So again, before and after. And then again, we could do backlight fix on this one. I wouldn't use much, I don't think, because it doesn't really need it, but you can see how it's just bringing out some more of the details in the subjects. So you can kind of see the tartan pattern a little bit more than without it. So maybe just a bit of that. And then I'm just going to bring the exposure down just to kind of offset. So this is before, this is after. And there's the side by side. That's with Light and Truth 6, creative profile cranked to 200, picture perfect cranked up, backlight fix just a little bit, and we also did lens correction there as well. Obviously, the blue tone and green tone are only going to be for color edits, but yeah, you get the point. The black and white is stunning. Thank you so much. Sean said, I use this set on a lot of my client sessions these days. I have so many Archipelago presets, but I still feel like I need this one. I love that. You can never have enough. That's true. New to Archipelago, thank you so much for walking through edits with different images. Really wonderful. Thank you so much, Amy. Glad to have you on board. Welcome to the Archipelago family. Do make sure you check out our Quest preset subscription if you haven't already. If you're enjoying the presets that we have at archipelagopresets.com, with our Quest platform, we have a subscription where we release a new set of presets every single month that's free for our members to download. So worth checking that out as well. Could we also see the color presets on that image? Absolutely. Let's go for it. So if I go ahead and apply a color image now, it's going to keep all of the masking layers, the edits that I've done here. So I'll go ahead and leave those, and I'll just kind of leaf through each of the color presets. This is Light and Truth 1, Light and Truth 2, Light and Truth 3, Light and Truth 4, and Light and Truth 5. So let me know out of the color ones which you would go for on this. Again, I'll go through them. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Jump in the chat, let me know. Naomi said, I'm so excited for the new presets. I do have a lot of oldie favorites too. You will not be disappointed with the new presets, I can tell you. We worked super hard developing these, and we believe they're the best presets we've ever created. That's why we kind of decided to relaunch completely, bring out this entire new range of presets. And very excitingly as well, we will be releasing limited edition presets as part of our new lineup. So they'll be available for a limited amount of time. And we've got the first set ready to go. So you won't have too long to wait for that. Catherine said 5, Liz said 5, 4, 5, 5, 1 and 3, 1, 3. Love them all. 4, these are amazing. So quite a split. I think 5 is maybe the most popular. So let's go ahead and apply 5. So I'll show you before. This is unedited. This is after. That's with lens correction, picture perfect, a little bit of backlight fix. So I'll show you actually in here as well. You can see the kind of colors and stuff in the sky. So perfect sky is doing that if I turn that off. This is without perfect sky. So you can see how it's just bringing in a little bit more of the blue there, a little bit more of the warm tone down here, and the pinks in the clouds, and a little bit more of the definition in the sky there as well. So you can see how that's working. Super nice. And actually, while we're on this, let's have a quick look and see. Obviously, the greens aren't super strong in this. The blue tone and the green tone will depend on how strong those colors are in the image as to what the difference you'll see. But I'll just kind of go through these quickly. I'd probably say one of the lighter ones are going to be more obvious. So if we wanted to kind of go for a little bit more of an autumnal look, we could go for green tone 4. This is it down at 0. This is it up at 200. So it's just pushing the greens more towards the kind of warmer colors that we see over here. So it kind of makes it a little bit more uniform. Or you could go the other way, go green tone 3 and go for something a little bit more cool tone. So you kind of get a little bit of a difference between them. Green tone 1 is the sort of darker version of that. Not super obvious because the greens aren't super rich on this, but you'll see that on another one shortly. Amy said, I'm a new Quest member and was quick to fall in love with all the presets. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's move on to the next image. So this one, I think a couple of people are excited to see. Really gorgeous image. This one from Benigno. I'm going to go ahead and bring the exposure up a good amount on this, probably about there. I'm going to back the warmth off just a little bit. That's looking a little bit more natural to me. So for this one, I want to kind of go for a little bit of a light and airy edit. So I'm going to go for Light and Truth 3. And Creative Profile, this is it down at 0. This is it up at 200. I'm probably going to have it fairly high because I really like that extra bit of warmth and that lift in midtones. Let's go ahead and do Picture Perfect. Give that 1 second is what the estimated time is. There we go. So this is down at 0. This is up at 200. And again, I'll zoom in actually on this one so you can see the subject's features. This is it down at 0. This is it up at 200. So it's just softening out the skin, enhancing the color tone in the hair, lifting up the detail in the eyes there as well. So again, down at 0, up at 200. I'm probably not going to go super high. I probably would leave it at the default amount of 100 on this. I think that's just a nice amount that it's bringing in. Backlight fix, again, not sure I'd need it on this image. No, I actually think I like the softness. Backlight fix is adding too much kind of contrast and definition to the image. So I'm going to leave that at 0. Lens correction, obviously not needed on this image. So with this one, we have some greens in the image. So let's go ahead and play around with the different green tones. So this is green tone 1. I'm going to apply each one just so you can see. So this is it down at 0. That's the natural green color. This is it all the way up at 200. So quite dramatic on this because the greens are more obvious. So you can kind of set this exactly where you like. But with green tone 1, you get in that drop in luminance and the shift towards more cool toned greens. And it's worth noting that these will replace each other. So if I go ahead and apply green tone 2, it will just replace green tone 1. So nice and simple, you don't have to worry that you've already applied one. So this is it down at 0 and up at 200. So this one is a more warm toned green, kind of more natural, a little bit warm toned, but just brings the luminance down. Then we have green tone 3. This is possibly my favorite. It just kind of gives that more, I guess, filmic look to the greens. So they're pushed towards a teal look and the luminance is brought up as well. Obviously, you might not necessarily go as dramatic as that, but you can obviously have the ability to dial it exactly where you like. And then green tone 4 is more kind of mossy greens, so desaturates them, lifts up the luminance and pushes it a little bit more warm as well. So I'm going to go for green tone 3, but I'm just going to use a little bit of it on this just to kind of bring a bit of contrast between the warmth in the skin and the greens in the background. Again, you've got green tone reset, so if at any point you want to reset that, you can just apply the green tone reset and it goes back to the natural ones. So this is before and this is after. That's edited with Light and Truth 3, Creative Profile increased to 150. We use Picture Perfect set at 100. We've not used any backlight fix on this. And we used Green Tone 3 set to 50 for just a little bit of a shift in the greens. There's your side-by-side comparison. Little Red Wolf said, I recently joined Quest and the tools have changed the game for me. I live with a neurovisual disability. I couldn't do my work without you. That's absolutely incredible. So happy that the tools are doing that for you. Really, really appreciate you giving us that feedback. Catherine said, oh, wow, wow, wow. That is gorgeous. Amazing image from Benny. Oh my gosh, the raw version there. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Super nice. Skin tones are just amazing, well balanced. Thank you so much. Tel said, wow, push the green all the way to 200. Love 3 on this. All right, well, we can go for that. If we want to go for a more kind of stylized look with the greens, we can crank that all the way up. Let's zoom back out to 100 so you can see the side by side there. I love the fact that you have that kind of ability to dial those two colors, the blues and the greens. They're the ones that we often struggle with. You know, if you're shooting in, spring on a sunny day when the grass is just luminous green, neon green, these tools can really help just to kind of dial things back, or kind of go for a little bit more of a stylized look whilst maintaining all the other colors as they are. Crank it, says China. Love that. Dreamy, holy smokes. Love it. Thank you. Sean said, I'm using the green tools in this set with a lot of other Archipelago presets when I edit. Yeah, absolutely. So again, the green tone and blue tone tools, they are masking layers, so they can be used with any other preset collection. So if you're editing an image with any of our presets and you think, oh, I really want to dial those colors in, head into the tool set for Light and Truth and use that in combination. And I've been mix and matching the tools from all these sets, especially the Light and Legacy tool set. Absolutely adore some of the tools in that. So I've been using that a lot with Light and Truth. So feel free to do so. Mix and match. It's always good fun. So again, before and after. All right, so we're on to the last image. This one here again from Camille. I'm going to go ahead and set the exposure. Just as a reminder, we will be announcing a winner of a free Archipelago t-shirt in the chat after I've edited this image. So make sure you stick around, keep chatting away as you have. And just a reminder, if you have questions, do ask them. I'll try and answer them on the live stream if I can. So do jump in there and ask if you have questions. All right, so exposure needs a little bit of an increase here. I think the white balance is looking good though. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the presets. So Light and Truth 1, super nice. You can see just how it's enhancing the image. It's a really, really nice amount of enhancement, but everything stays super, super natural. So you can see it's quite a dramatic difference, but it's completely true to the actual scene as it was shot. So that's Light and Truth 1, Light and Truth 2, Light and Truth 3, Light and Truth 4, Light and Truth 5, and the black and white Light and Truth 6. I think Light and Truth 1 on this one. I'm going to bring the exposure up just a tiny bit more. Light and Truth profile up at 200, down at 0. I'm probably going to go up fairly high. Yeah, let's just crank it to 200. Why not? Let's go ahead and do picture perfect on this one as well. All done in one click. Yeah, absolutely. And that's really, you know, the goal is to kind of get you as close as possible with as few clicks as possible. And that's why we have, you know, obviously the presets, but also things like the tools to try and get you as close as possible without needing to go into all the separate settings in here and dial all the sliders yourself. We want to try and get you there as quickly as possible with as a few kind of manual adjustments as possible. So if we can do that, it's great. So this is a picture perfect down at 0, up at 200. Again, I absolutely adore the difference here. If we go ahead and zoom in on the subjects, you can see again how it's just softening up the skin tones, lifting up the eye detail. So you can just see a little bit more detail in the eyes there as well. And of course, zoom back out. If we take a look at the sky, it's just bringing back a little bit of definition. There's some cloud definition there. Again, without it, you can't really see that definition. So it's bringing some of that back. Darkening down the background just a little bit. And again, all of that you can dial yourself once you've applied it. You can jump in here and you can dial all of these separately. Once you've set the overall amount, each of these will be set slightly differently depending on what you've got. So if you want to increase the eye effect, for instance, you can just jump in here and do that. So if we go ahead and zoom in, this is it all the way down, and then this is it all the way up. So it's just bringing a little bit more definition and illumination to the eyes, a bit more light to the eyes, which is always nice. It draws your eye. Okay, so that's picture perfect. Let's go ahead and take a look at backlight fix. Again, it's not a scene that needs it, but it might be something that we appreciate. So this is it down at 0. This is it up at 200. It actually looks really nice. I'm probably going to go for a bit of it on this. Let's go about 55, I think, is just sort of a good amount where it's just bringing a little bit more lifting the exposure, bringing a little bit more detail and definition to the subjects and darkening down the background just a bit there as well. We have got some blue. Again, this is quite a pale blue. So when we go for the blue tones, you're not going to see as much of a difference versus one of the first images where we had that really deep blue suit. So you are going to see more of a difference on certain images versus others. But if I go for blue tone 4 on this is at 0. This is up at 200. So you can see how it's just adjusting the luminance and hue of the blues. And again, greens, we've got some in the background just there. So let's go for green tone 1. So that just darkens things down and cools it down there as well. Green tone 2, green tone 3, and green tone 4. I think 4 is quite nice on this. It's got a nice warmth to it, but it's got a little bit of a raise in the luminance. So maybe that's set to about 86. So this is before. This is after. And there's your side-by-side. So natural, those skin tones, and all with one click. You guys are wizards of the preset worlds. Thank you so much, Catherine. Absolutely loving the truthfulness of these. Thank you, Mamad. These presets are incredible. Thank you. This will help my confidence in my edits because it's so true. Thank you, Little Red Wolf. They really are, and the generousness of the free training too with these live streams, excuse me, on such a regular basis, it really elevates our processing and what we can offer to our clients. Absolutely love that, Catherine. Thank you so much. And Amy said, I cannot agree with Catherine more. The training is so helpful, seeing how it works so well. Thank you. Appreciate that, Melanie. Actually, let me go back to this one. I'll do the side-by-side and let's zoom back in on the subjects there, just so you can see that difference. And really, we got there very quickly. It was just an adjustment of the exposure, applying Light and Truth 1, increasing the creative profile, and applying a few of the tools, including picture perfect, backlight fix, and then we just played around with the green and blue tones just because we could. But most of this was achieved just from the preset, and then the enhancements with picture perfect and backlight fix. Super, super nice. And again, just so natural and true, which is really, really handy to have in your tool set, I would say. So I'll go back to all the images. We'll give it a second for these just to render, and then we'll take a look at all of these side by side. So again, this is Light and Truth. This forms part of our new core preset collection over at archipelagopresets.com. This is the True Color preset collection. Alongside it, we also have an earthy preset collection, a moody one, and a filmic one. I'll be editing with those in upcoming live streams. So if you want to see what the rest of our new core sets offer, do make sure you subscribe to the channel, put notifications on as well so that you can come back and join me for another one. I'll be doing a Light and Ochre, which is our earthy preset collection. I'll be doing a Light and Ochre live stream next week, so Tuesday next week. So make sure you come and join me for that if you want to see Light and Ochre in action. But these presets are all live and available at archipelagopresets.com. So go and check those out. We worked hard on a brand new website as well. So if you haven't taken the time to take a look at our new website, do go and have a look. We worked really hard to kind of redesign the site. We've got a new logo as well, which is what's on the t-shirt that we'll be giving away on this live stream. So we'll be announcing that in the chat in just a moment. Do ask if you have any other questions. I can try and get those answered before the stream wraps up. But in a moment, we'll be announcing the winners of the free t-shirt. Agreed 100%, all true spoken words. Photograph Anne said, what about grain? So there's no grain included with this preset collection. The idea behind this is it's very, very natural. So it doesn't have any grain on as default. Of course, you can go ahead and add grain yourself, or you can use some of the grain tools from our other preset collections to kind of get that grain look if you want to add it. But the idea behind this was to keep things nice and clean and natural. Can't wait for the other streams, notifications on, and credit card ready and waiting, as I know I'll be buying them all. Thank you, Catherine. Random question, is there a spot on your website where it says the description of each preset in the pack? I often look at the Explorer's Guide to Quest. Is there anything like that for these? So we've got the overall descriptions. We don't have a description for each of the individual presets, but we do have the kind of before and afters on the website, and then the overall description. But the live streams are kind of the best place, or the overview video, those two different places. So you'll find the overview video on the product page, and then obviously the live streams will kind of go more into depth to show you what is included with each preset and kind of what they look like. There we go. So Richard has announced the winners of free AP t-shirts. So Mamad and Catherine, you're both getting your hands on one of those incredible t-shirts. This one that you can see here. So just reach out to us on the email address that we provide, and we will get that sent out to you ASAP. You're going to be one of only a few people in the world to have one of those t-shirts. So big congratulations to both of you. But big thank you to everyone for tuning in. It's been such a fun stream as always. And like I said, come and join me next week for the next installment. That's the Light and Ochre live stream. All right, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day and take care.